Has anybody done that before those Ecuadorians and Poles move out of there?
You mean, has anyone looked for residual matter still? I wouldn't know. Sorry, but I'm sure my mother sends me clippings from the New York Times. They continue to find human remains in various places, and the fact that the bones were that small, there was an error made in the original findings. They said they were less than a millimeter. When the conversion from inches, anyway, I figured it out. It's less than a centimeter, the small fragments that they were finding. Because if you looked down and you saw bone fragments that were less than a millimeter, you would not be able to tell what those were with your eyes. But you could tell something less than a centimeter. So that alone, from all the way across the street, people are shattered. And where's the flesh? And I talked to a first responder who said that they expected to find bodies, and they didn't find bodies. And the men were very, very distressed. They were crying because the whole thing was so confusing. Not only was it difficult to see, you would pick up pieces of what you thought were rags, and it was flesh. Just raggedy flesh. So this is very upsetting. In fact, I learned that in this search and rescue work, they have to have special debriefers who debrief the rescue workers because of what they're going through and what they're finding. And you will see Matthew Tartaglia when I come back in a little bit. But anyway, it all bears very critical examination, and big questions need to be boldly asked. And our mainstream doesn't want to engage in that activity. Do you have one?
I was wondering if you could find any parallels or compare. I wanted to go back to how you were being used and sort of divisions between people that would listen in the 9/11 community. And I wonder if you can draw parallels with what Alex Jones or Ralph Nader or MLK on how you're treated by the system and also within the movement.
You want me to comment on...
Do you see any parallels or comparisons?
Well, I really only have my experience, and I don't know really what your question is. You want me to comment on the way Alex Jones is treated?
Well, I understand that there are divisions that are maybe placed by the FBI.
Oh, I see. The infiltration. Yes. Well, again, it's hard to spot until your gut starts telling you something is wrong. And I must say, maybe I'm a fool, but very rarely have I really felt that anybody is an agent that's talking to me. And I have talked to people on the phone for years, to the point that when I was making some updates to the movie, my voice was so shot, my video editor was screaming at me that I was on the phone too much because it had rasp in it. So, anyway, I love the discussions, and I may have said the most foolhardy things to absolutely the wrong people, and I wouldn't even know. But I feel that I am who I am. I did this in a kind of very innocent way. I have bitten off more than I can chew. I've created a monster, keeping up with this movie, doing this store, madly making novelties, spending money because I really want something to turn out right. I must have this T-shirt in purple as well as black to give people a choice. I don't need to do this, and I do it. And that, to me, is a little bit unwieldy, so I have to probably draw myself in. But I feel that this is unstoppable. And one of the things I told the guy from BBC was, I said, you have to understand something. The people in the 9/11 movement are not here to be troublemakers. We're not just trying to rustle up pebbles and cause a commotion. We're here because we feel that we are being impelled to do this. And I've talked to lots of people who are audiences, who are organizers, and who are the bigwigs. And everybody says they feel something behind them. They feel that something wants them to bring this out. And I wouldn't know all the people that I know today if it weren't for 9/11. It has created unity. I have these tendrils that extend out all over the world and the country that, to me, they're phenomenal. It's like looking at a fountain and watching the water just fly out and creating this energy. That's all I can say. I don't know where it's going. I don't know if it'll work or it won't work. Maybe we'll all go down with everybody else who wants to just have their latte and talk on their cell phone and page through Us magazine. You know, this is what I see. But, yes.
Two questions. I was wondering if you know whether or not this has been shown to any of our elected representatives, and if so, what kind of response you've gotten, and also has this been made available to public libraries for people to be able to take it out? And because, like I said, I've never heard of this.
Right.
I've never heard of the DVD. I didn't know anything about this until it was mentioned in meetings. So.
I think if I could be kind of airy-fairy about that and spooky, you never heard of this because you weren't ready until when the bell rang and suddenly here are all these people right where you come anyway, you know. This has been sent, this movie, as well as Loose Change, as well as Painful Deceptions, as well as the book Painful Questions, which is an expensive, glossy book. The members of Congress have received these videos over and over and over and over. And I get phone calls from people who ask me for permission to burn 3,000 copies because they want to send it to Congress and the media, and I tell them don't bother. They tell me why. I say because it's already been done. They have this video. I'm going to tell you a story. I know someone. I'm going to have to tell this without mentioning any name. Who knows a congressperson. I won't say where. I'll just say a congressperson who's been a congressperson for more than 2 decades, okay? That's a long time. And the person I know said to the congressperson, hey, they were good friends, do you know that 9/11 was an inside job? And the congressperson said, yes, I know. Of course I know. We all know. But what are we going to do? So, to me, this was huge. And so it's up to us, because we have to create the threads. We really do. We have to create them, and we have to create them creatively. Every one of you has a different style. I spoke in the hallway with Brian, who told me that he's been